to our 120th episode of the Gutenberg Changelog podcast. In today's episode, we will talk about WordCamp US, Telex, Gutenberg 21.4 and 5, and also we will discuss that we need more blocks, maybe. I'm your host, Birgit Pauli-Haack, curator at the Gutenberg Times and WordPress developer, advocate, and full-time core contributor for the WordPress open source project sponsored by Automattic. And after a long break, Sarah Norris joins me again. Yay! She is a core team rep, a core contributor to the Gutenberg project, and developer and designer working for Automattic. Thank you so much for taking the time and coming onto the show again. Sarah, how are you today? And maybe you can briefly outline what you have been working on for what might be coming to WordPress 6.9.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, hello. It has been a really long time. It's good to be back. Yeah, I'm good. I'm looking forward to autumn, my favourite time of year. So for 6.9, I've mostly been working on new blocks. Yes, all the new blocks. I've been working on the accordion block, which was called accordions, but is now called accordion, singular. Also, I've been looking over the new tabs block. There's a PR going for that I'm really interested in. Looking at maybe getting the table of contents block stabilised as well. I think there's a lot of work to do there, but I think it's quite well-rounded, well outlined, so we can get stuck in there. And then I've also been working on a new terms query block as well. So it's like the query loop block, but for taxonomies.
Wow, it sounds exciting. Awesome. Lots of new blocks. You're the right person to talk about we need more blocks later on. So we're coming to the announcements. So at his keynote at WordCamp US, Matt Mullenweg, you probably heard it all already, dear listeners, announced an experimental AI tool called Telex. And it can be used to build new blocks with a plain English language prompt, so you don't have to speak code. So try it out. I'll share the links in the show notes. And Ray Morey from the repository has quite done a good rundown of all the reactions for Telex on Twitter and all that. So I'm going to share this with you. But it's a really exciting tool, and it's also experimental. So it might not have the outcome that you want, but you might get new ideas from it. So have you tried it out, Sarah?
Yes. Yeah. I've been following the development closely and trying it out. It's amazing. It's so much fun to use. Definitely recommend people try it out.
Yeah.
You might not get what you expect, but I don't know if you ever do with AI. It's all about what you put into it, isn't it? And see what you get. Especially for new blocks. People should try it to build new blocks.
So did you build a new block?
I built a few ideas, like a few silly things. I haven't tried it on any new core blocks yet. Maybe that's the next step. Maybe I should try it on all these new core blocks we've got coming up.
Well, but I'm more interested in the silly things, the crazy things, or in the quirky things. What did you try?
What did I try? I've tried like some random image generators, just like some random colour stuff as well, trying like different colours, different patterns. Yeah, maybe I should add some to the new live tool so we can get them in the library.
There's a library?
Maybe coming up.
Okay. Well, it's the next current step. Yeah, kind of thinking about, okay, if so many people build blocks, then we want to kind of showcase all those ideas if they're ready enough, so other people can use them. Then you probably want to have a site for that. That's totally cool. Yeah, true. Anyway, so speaking of WordCamp US, the talks are almost all uploaded to WordPress TV. So the team is really amazing. And there were fantastic talks at the showcase day as well as the other days. And we had about a dozen talks about AI in all kinds of flavors. And I only want to kind of point out three of them. One was for developers. Adam Silverstein's talk, Unlock Developer Superpowers with AI, is definitely worth a look on the rerun, as he tested quite a few new tools and also gave a great rundown on his approach and how he works with it. So Adam is a former Googler, and he is a core committer on the WordPress project. So yeah, he's definitely out there ahead of, well, at least me. Yeah, I don't know about Sarah, but yeah, definitely ahead of me. So, and for non-developers, John Mader's talk was a fantastic introduction in how to think about AI in his Cozy AI Cooking talk as a keynote on the third day. And then if you want to be amazed at what's happening in other areas outside of development, but in other areas of science. I highly recommend Professor Adam Gasley's talk on the new era of experimental medicine, AI and the brain. And he talks about how his lab at the University of San Francisco did a lot of brain testing and figured out a way to replicate and have a feedback loop, a closed feedback loop to reactions on certain things. So, and what they actually did was they created a video game to help people with ADHD, and that's for prescription, but also available for adults who are kind of having a bit of a cognitive decline in the later years and want to kind of keep a stop to that or at least delay it. So it's really an interesting talk. Totally not related to WordPress at all. So yeah. Have you watched any of those talks yet?
I haven't this week. I've been concentrating on basically building the terms query block. But all three of these I really want to watch. They sound really good, especially that last one. That sounds super interesting.
Yeah, the resources that he mentions in his slide deck and all that, you can really kind of go down that rabbit hole on a Sunday afternoon and kind of learn more about that. And then for block and block-related talks, there were so many, and each covering a different angle. I have a list in my weekend edition 38 that I would kind of, where I said I would want to watch it. And even if I'm not getting into the talk, I will keep a list of that for the reruns. But if I wanted also three of them, one is Michelle Hunt's Building Experiences, Design Systems, User Experience, and Full-Site Editing. And she really brings it home in talking about atomic design, which was a topic 2 years ago in San Diego, or 3 years ago even, and then applying it to WordPress and themes and blocks, and also creating a design system as well as guardrails for users. That's her user experience piece, that if you have too many options, you confuse users and they don't need them, but you can build guardrails around it and curate the experience quite well. Marianne Eschenbrenner is from a small agency, and she talked about how she moved websites from classic theme to a block theme and what the steps were involved, and some decision-making process there, really good. And then block composability, the past and the future, with Seth Rubenstein and Max Schmeling. And they talked about the remote data block coming out of WordPress VIP, and they open sourced it. And that is how you can connect the Gutenberg editor with an outside data source like Google Spreadsheets or Airtable and bring that data in live. So when it changed the data on the other sites, it's updated the website, and use block bindings and interactivity API to pull it all into a page and blocks that you can put on a page. So it's really interesting what comes out of that this year in WordCamp US. So have you looked at the remote data block yet?
No, I haven't, but that sounds amazing. It almost sounds like Zapier, but for the editor. Yeah, that sounds really
pretty much,
cool.
Yeah, that was the idea about it, that you don't have to create blocks for that. You kind of use that one block, that has a lot of tools in there, and then you can pull them in. It's really interesting. So, but of course, everyone is of different stage in their blocks journey, and it's difficult to recommend a talk without knowing more about the needs. But so I will share in the notes the link to all the talks of WordCamp US. I think right now they have 2 or 3 pages already uploaded, so you can kind of look at them. But don't forget it and let time go past. It might also be something to put on your list for Christmas vacation days or Thanksgiving days instead of other things, maybe. So what's community contributions? It seems there's more new momentum at the WordPress developer blog, because apart from the What's New for Developers by Justin Tadlock, there were 4 more articles published since we had our last Gutenberg Changelog recording, and 2 of them are by Justin Tadlock. One is a little controversial as stated title: You don't need theme JSON for block theme styles. When you want to need or step away from using theme JSON for styling themes, this guide will walk you through the best practices of using style sheets instead. You will also learn from the article that Justin actually really likes Theme.json, but he wants to pick you up where you are. And if you don't have a real good handle on it yet, you have alternatives and options. And the second one is in view of what's coming to WordPress 6.9 is registering custom social icons for Gutenberg. And it's a new filter hook that's coming to the next release. And it's learn how to use it to register your own services for social icons blog. So his example is IMDb, that's the movie database, or Ko-fi, that's buy me some coffee kind of donation place. I used it for my next edition of the Gutenberg Times theme, where I want to have an archive page for my podcast. And I needed the icons for all the podcast directories where you can find the Gutenberg changelog, because only Spotify was on there, and there are so many others that are there. So, and Pocket Cast is already in there, but all the others are not. So I built them with that new tool for my new plugin. So it's really interesting. So if you have other needs, you can do it yourself. You don't need to wait for Core to put them in. And Troy Chaplin also, he published a series on refactoring a multi-block plugin to build smarter, register cleaner, and scale easier. So if you have a multi-block plugin, it's kind of give it a cleaner structure, support all block types, and also a smarter registration and bundling of your assets. I think it's a very good tutorial for the next stage of your plugins. And he also has a second post in the same realm is about implementing namespaces and coding standards in WordPress plugin development. This post got a lot of comments and suggestions from other people, core developers and others. So it's definitely worth looking into, because namespacing, auto-loading, and linting for your multi-block plugin is definitely something you want to find out, or how to do this. So shout out for both authors for taking the time to put those tutorials together for other WordPress developers. And dear listeners, make sure you never miss another post of the developer blog again. Subscribe to the blog. Anyway, I'm not asking you, I'm not putting you on the spot when you're going to write for the developer blog, but yeah, think about it. We're open to ideas.
I'll have a think.
Say again?
I'll have a think.
Yeah, have a think. So, which brings us, dear listeners, to the Gutenberg releases in the last 4 weeks. We are starting with Gutenberg 21.4. Do you want to get us started, Sarah?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, what we've got first for 21.4. So in enhancements, we've got a new use server-side render hook.
Yeah, and I've put some question marks on it because I need you to need someone to explain it to me a bit.
I mean, I'm not sure I can do that. So I think this is it's a really nice refactoring job. So we still do have some data fetching logic in server-side render function, and this has been refactored into a hook called use server-side render, and it basically gives consumers more control over the block content when they're using the server-side rendering technique. So I think we did have this functionality before, but this makes it much easier and more flexible for consumers to absorb the block content.
All right. So when you say consumers, you mean extenders who use it in their blocking plugin, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It's not me as a consumer of Nutella or something. Yeah.
No. Nutella hook, though, would be amazing.
That's a new blog.
Use Nutella. Server side.
Use Nutella server side. No. Oh, what a mess. So we have quite a few things that are concerning the data views. Yeah, it gets a real good polish now and some great features in there. So the first thing is that there is a control command plus click for multi-selection in the table layout when you have a data views in a table. So you can click all the rows that you want to use for bulk edits or something like that, yeah, which is really cool. It's also a feature that is in the old WP admin. The second one is the data form select box to have custom empty options. This is actually really cool because then you have a no selection and it doesn't disrupt anything of the workflow. Yeah, I got this all my life of web development and forms, yeah, that when you have a drop down, you need an empty one. So if it's not a required field, so they can unselect things, yeah.
Yeah, very easily forgotten. Because how often do you actually build drop downs as well? So every time you build one, it's good. So,
Every time,
yeah, I need an empty option.
Yeah, it's now built in to have a custom empty option if you want it. You want to do the next?
Yeah, what's the next one? So I've got support group by in the table layout. So this is adding support for the table to be grouped by field, isn't it? So it means that when you're viewing a table, it could be grouped into separate sections, and each section will have a heading. Yeah, but I guess depending on the content, it makes it much easier to consume that content. And then, yeah, each section has a table row with a heading. That helps separate it out nice and neat.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit easier to find all the stuff that you need. The next one is that it's now use responsive images for the data view grid layout. So if you're on a tablet, the images are smaller, so you get more things on the screen, as well as the mobile. You can use that in mobile as well.
Yeah, I didn't know about this PR actually. It's very, very cool because it allows you to pass a maximum width to the images in the grid view. Because I think previously it was using the largest image or one of the largest image sizes. But that means like if there was a lot of images, this is saving like literal megabytes on every grid view. So it's really, really cool. Good PR.
Yeah.
Good performance PR.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
Next one is allow data views empty state to be customized. Oh yeah, so this is if you're loading a data views component, if there was no results previously, I think it just would render just a white screen basically, which is an empty data view component. But this allows you to pass in like a default empty state. So if you're listing pages and no pages are part of the search results, then you can add something like a no pages found message, but it'll be styled nicely and be centered and will look much better UX than a blank screen basically.
Than nothing, yeah.
Yeah, than nothing.
And I also like the last one is the data form is now a bootstrap validation for required and type checks on the input. And that's right now for text input, email, integer, and Boolean field types. Boolean. Yeah, I never knows how to pronounce it. How do you pronounce it?
Boolean.
Boolean?
Boolean. Yeah, Boolean.
Boolean. Yeah, other people say Boolean. And so, yeah, kind of. Anyway, yeah, I really like that. So now you can have your data forms automatically kind of validated, and at least for those types. I think more is coming there as well. So yeah, if you use the data views for your plugins, you can actually have now good user input handling as well.
Next is the block library section, and then we have the cover video block, add drag and drop support for poster uploads. So this is, so for videos you can add a poster image for HTML videos, and this basically just allows drag and drop functionality, so we can drag these images into the poster section when you're editing the cover video block. Basically makes it much easier to add a poster image.
Yeah, drag and drop is always fun most of the time. And it's not only for the video block, but it's also for the cover block that has a video. That's also then pulled in if there is not enough bandwidth on the page to show a poster instead of the video, and only when you click on it the video kind of plays. And then we have updates to the file block. Two of them. One is to use the MIM type to determine if a file is a PDF, and the other one is have the nature feature detection for PDF support. So that would also give the PDF support means have it embedded on the page as an option, or also have thumbnails and all that kind of thing. So yeah, those are kind of great enhancements.
Next up is the block editor section. So we have the list add keyboard shortcuts to indent, outdent to tooltips. So this adds a keyboard shortcut to the tooltips. Why can't I say tooltips? All these words that you don't have to say out loud, and then you're forcing me to say them all out loud. So yeah, when you hover over the block toolbar for the list block, you'll now get some helpful tooltips that tell you about the indent and tab keyboard shortcuts, basically.
Yeah. It's been a while that it actually is the tab to indent on the list block, but it wasn't really that widely known, because it took a while to get it in there. And now you can, on a single list item, you can use the tab to indent it, but now you also know it by hovering over the tooltips or getting some tooltips when you hover over the block toolbar. There is the icon to indent and outdent, and now it also has the tooltip for use the tab, dummy, kind of thing. All right. Oh, the write mode has quite some updates in the last few Gutenberg releases. This one also only has one, that it adds the shuffle style to the write mode toolbar on a container block. So if you have a block, if there is a style variations for that particular block, you get this little color drop to select those style variation. That is actually coming out of the zoom out mode that was already in 6.8.
Yeah, it's very cool.
It's totally cool.
Yeah, it makes it like really easy to I know that's the whole point of it, but it makes it very easy to switch between the styles. I think it's something that we don't really think about, especially when you're building for the editor as well. But as soon as you see it in action, it's just like, oh, this is it unlocks loads of functionality just in one click. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Next up is the components section. Got one in here as well. So this is the text control improved theming support. I think this is a little PR for making the border and placeholder colors themable for the text control component specifically. So it means that if you switch the theme, the border and the placeholder colors will also change, as well as the other colors related to text control.
Yeah. And then there's a block binding update on the date block. It now allows block binding. So yay! Now you can have the date block. There's a date block. Oh, post date, for instance.
Yeah.
You can, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can, or recording date, or something like that. You can connect it to a block binding and make it follow all the date things in WordPress, like location and localized formatting and all that. Block bindings also gets a little bit more wider usage, opens up for wider usage during 6.9. I have not yet put a whole good research in there, but I've done some testing, and it looks really, really well also to add it to an audio block and all that. So, yeah.
I can tell you one thing, although it'll probably be for Gutenberg Changelog 21.6 or 121, but I've been using block bindings. I've been using block bindings for the terms query block as well, and it was
nice.
Unbelievably easy to implement. So much kudos to the people who've been working on block bindings. So I've used it to expose term data, so we can absorb that in the new blocks for the terms, and it's just, I don't know, I'm just blown away by it. Really, it just makes so much sense. Makes everything so much more flexible.
Yeah, I use the block bindings too. I registered a separate source for the block bindings for my podcast archive page, because I wanted recording date and stuff with the podcast description and the logo, as well as for every episode, a recording date and the download link just in there in the query loop. And it really worked. Yeah, the audio block, I'm still debugging it because, of course, it's all my fault, but it really works well. And I'm so happy that I don't have to write new blocks, and I can use a plugin that creates all those fields and has their own template, but the templates are not for block themes. So I can create my own template and add all those blocks bindings and put it into a plugin. So it's really cool. Yeah. So many more options opening up with block bindings.
Yeah. What's our next section now?
So I scrolled down to the documentation section of the changelog, and I just wanted to point out two things. One is that the Playground CLI is now preferred over the WP Now when you use it on any of your projects for Playground to have a local development. So it's really cool if you're developing a plugin, but not in the realm of a website, just on a separate folder. And then you can do Playground CLI, and then it opens up a WordPress instance right from that and knows it's coming from a plugin. So it puts all the stuff right in there into the Playground. It installs it and activates it, and really fast development now. Previous was WP Now, and now it's the Playground CLI. And it's documented. And the second one is the document guidelines on how to get new social icons into Core. and have the link to the developer blog article by Justin Padlock on how to do it yourself. What else? I think that I have the feeling we are now at the end of Gutenberg 21.4.
Yes, success.
And we are coming to Gutenberg 21.5. Do you want to start again?
Yes, I can do.
Yeah. Okay. Super.
Yeah, starting at enhancements again. So first up is data form. Panel layout can open as drop-down or modal. So I think this is adding the modal panel type to the data form. And it basically means that a panel can be opened as a modal. Making the data form more flexible.
Yes, indeed, yeah. And then the data views also get an additional enhancement as the option is now added to allow infinite scroll on data views. You can decide between pagination or infinite scroll. Like we have in the media library, there's an infinite scroll kind of way. So yeah, it kind of opens up a lot more possibilities for core or plugin developers to use that.
Next up is the block library section. First up is the query title, adding a post type label variation. So this adds a post type label to the query title block, which displays the singular name of the query post type.
Yeah, so when you look at it there, this is a recipe, or this is a post, or this is a page, when it kind of comes into the query loop. That's definitely help, kind of prevents confusion, definitely. Yeah. And then, of course, we come to your accordion block.
Yes.
Is it still experimental, or has it been removed experimentally?
It's still experimental at the moment, so it's only just been merged. Yeah, so we're still testing. So the best thing about blocks being experimental is that we can make breaking changes, essentially. So I think it will be experimental until hopefully not the last minute, but the last minute being the last few weeks probably before 6.9. But I think I'm feeling really confident about the block in general. So hopefully just after a few rounds of testing, maybe some tweaks being made. There's already been a bunch of PRs opened for some small tweaks as well, which is really nice to see. So yeah, hopefully it'll be stabilized by 6.9. That'd be great.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. Yeah, I hope so very much. So yeah. So the accordion block it's implementing the HTML standard kind of way, and then how it kind of works with blocks. And you have a whole panel, and then you have additional accordion. You have an accordions. It's not an accordions block, but it's a whole accordion, and then the accordion items, and then you have inner blocks that can host any content in the accordion item panels, right?
Yeah, that's right. I think that's where I got stuck as well, because I was like, this is multiple accordions. No, it's one accordion, and then the accordion is made up of multiple sections. Yeah, and then we have accordion content, and then the accordion header and accordion panel. And within the panel, you can add. I think it's all blocks. I should know, shouldn't I? But yeah, you can add any content within that panel. It just makes it a little bit more flexible than the details block. But I know that the accordion and the details block are very, very similar. Also, at the moment, I think the details block will be surfaced if you search for accordion as well in the block editor. My plan in my head at the moment, I probably need to write this down somewhere, is that once the accordion block, the new block is stabilized, then we could remove that accordion keyword from the details block. So both of those are two very obvious, distinct blocks. Hopefully reduce some confusion. I think the main issue is with the details uses a summary element, and I don't think it's semantically correct to add headings, but maybe a bunch of other stuff as well. Basically, you can only really technically add text content, which doesn't make it very flexible. Mm-hmm. And then the accordion block will have, at the moment, it only has an option for one type of icon, but the idea is that we're going to add a lot more customization to the icon and making the header content itself more flexible. So yeah, hopefully this accordion block is much more flexible, and it's kind of like an advanced block compared to the details, and I think they can both exist fine. They're both HTML paradigms. They can both exist as blocks as well. And more blocks. We need more blocks.
More blocks.
More blocks.
Need more blocks. Right. Yes, definitely. Yeah. There were also some. You weren't able in the details block. You were also not able to style the summary separately from the details. So if you put a border around you, it almost was on the whole thing and not on the details.
Yeah.
Or if you want to have a text styling on the summary, it also would bleed through the details. So yeah, but that's wanted. I think the details and summary that comes also from Markdown, which could, so you could use it on GitHub and all that. And there it really can't have additional styling. So the accordion block is definitely for much richer styling and designs available here. So are you thinking about handling transforms from details to accordions?
I haven't thought of that yet, but that makes perfect sense. Because I imagine, well, this is only a guess, but I imagine some people users have been using the details block for probably what they would have wanted to use an accordion block for like if they wanted additional styling or for like more advanced FAQ sections and stuff like that. So yes, I imagine that will be a want, transforming from a details block to the accordion. So yeah, I'll add it to the list.
Write it down now. All right, the next one is, again, it's on the component section, and there are a few in there, but I just wanted to point out the forms component, that it also now supports async validation. It means that you can also do server-side validation and supports that with it's a break and change for this. It's a private component, so we shouldn't even talking about that. Okay, so I didn't see that, but it has a async story, so you can have an async validation. Yes. Maybe sooner or later we get the public, but yeah, we'll see.
For themes, there is additional support for providing the border radius presets. So yeah, if you're familiar with other presets that you can have in theme JSON for styling, this is one for border radius. It allows you to set border radius presets, and then they're available in the different controls. And it also uses the spacing sizes as like a model for the way the presets use as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're a themer, you definitely want to control the border radius and have users use just the certain numbers for it. Yeah, so if you use a smaller one, then it's always 15, and it's not one is 12 and the other one is 17 or something like that. And then if you want a bigger radius for 25 or something like that, you don't want to kind of that users put in all above 20, so to speak. So you have a more consistent design on your site. And even if you kind of let the users use border radius for certain things for designing. The next one is, just want to say that the presets for border radius is definitely a big thing for theme developers. Yeah, I really get that. Mm-hmm. The next one is actually a really big thing for anybody who uses WordPress, because the command palette comes to the admin dashboard. So you can actually be anywhere in your WordPress admin and then say open site editor or add page or open stylebook or something like that. So you don't have to find the menu, click 15 times through the menu to find that particular piece there, or say add CSS. I don't know if that's a command yet, but it definitely should be. So it's a much easier way, and a lot of people might actually appreciate that. They can do shortcuts pretty much to get to wherever they need to do. For the power users, it's definitely an improvement. And I also can see there is in the roadmap, there was also, that's actually part of the roadmap, that the command palette is available for the admin dashboard, but it's also a foundational piece to get also AI using some of the commands, and also to add, add commands to it that are not connected to the site editor. So plugin developers actually can streamline their processes as well for their users.
Yeah.
It's nice. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. And I think now I have, there's a media for you. Do you want to go?
I can do for the block library. The median text block. So this is retain use featured image hook value during transformations. So I think this is a bug fix that fixes the median text transformations to and from a cover block. Basically ensures that the use featured image value is retained during the transformation, which is very important. Don't want to be resetting.
It's very important, and kind of removes an additional step people have to think about. So I already did this. Why do I have to do it again?
Yeah, exactly.
After they migrated. We are at the end of Gutenberg 21.5. Yes, we did it, Sarah.
Yes.
Now we have one section left in our podcast. That's the what's in active development or discussed. And as I said in the intro, we need more blogs. Matthias Ventura, lead architect of Gutenberg and the whole revamping of the admin design, he posted an issue called New Blocks Editions for the block library. And there's a lot of discussions that we would need that, if we need them or not need them. But he comes from a point where he says, okay, for theme to have create a good experience for their users, it would be helpful to have these kind of blocks, or some of them or all of them in there. So there is no doubt that when I theme styles a block or uses it in patterns or in template parts or something like that, that it's not going to be there. And that's the experience now, that if users use some other block, a theme that assumes there are blocks in there, they get a very confusing message there that a so-and-so block wasn't installed if they want to install it or something like that. And I think that's, for any new user of WordPress, Gutenberg and site editor, not very helpful. And so there are some suggested blocks there, amongst them the icons block, the playlist block, the slider or carousel block, a stretchy text block, tabs block, accordion block. We have that.
Yes.
Mega menus, math ML block, marquee block, table of content, time to read, breadcrumbs, and dialogue block. That's kind of the list. I think it can go on and on and on, but I think it's a good list there. I felt I'm a little bit, okay, the marquee block, didn't we outface that in the 90s already? But I think it comes in handy when you have a news sticker across the top or something like that. Math ML, I think it's a good block for educational sites, especially in math education. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that needs to be in the core or it can still be a plugin. Actually, Adam Silverstein created a plugin with the Math ML block, or the breadcrumbs block, definitely important, because that's so important that we can help people find the way back. So a lot of people chime in: Aaron Jordan, Mike McAllister, Jeff Paul, Rich Tabor, Joe Dawson, Hendrik Lursen, Jeff Chandler. Yeah, a lot of people kind of chime in.
Yeah, it's great to see.
What do you think?
It's great to see so much interaction and conversation about new blocks. I think generally most people think that we should have more blocks, but I think the contention comes down to the per block and which one should be added, and I think that's fine. I think that it's fine to have a discussion per block about that. But at the moment, I think the lack of blocks just limits the flexibility and the design opportunities in the editor. So that's where maybe the decision process is a little bit easier for things like the accordion block, because it's such an obvious design choice and option to have, similar to the tabs block, probably the carousel block, icons. But then there's others like you mentioned about Math ML, maybe would have less users, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't be in core. It's probably just a longer conversation, or maybe it doesn't make it into core.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how I feel about the marquee block, because I think it'd be really fun to have a marquee block, but I also understand that maybe not everyone would want to use it, so maybe it doesn't warrant going in. But then it's fun, isn't it? So does fun trump that? I don't know.
I have also seen that there's developers and usability people don't like sliders and carousels,
right?
But users or site owners like them very much.
Yeah, exactly.
So I talked with a few on WordCamp US. I talked with a few agency owners that that's one of the blocks that we built ourselves, because we need it on every single project that we are doing. I can't keep them kind of say, okay, there are alternatives when they want it. Our customers want them, and so we build them. And they're pretty good they're pretty navigational things. So, interactive things. So if the site has no activity at all, this is actually getting it back.
Exactly. And so many of these blocks listed in this issue that Matthias opened, so many of them already have so much work. They already have a PR, or and they've probably just stalled at the same question of like, how do we do this? Why should we do this? do we need this block? So I think it's just a case of going through each block and having that conversation. But because the accordion block, I only picked it up and finished it. Jeff had already done so much good work on that, and that's why it was able to be landed so quickly. And in a similar position with many of the others. So yeah, I'm looking
Yeah,
forward
I think
to.
the table of contents has
Yes.
had received quite a few iterations.
Yeah, definitely.
And just a few pieces missing that would make it a little bit more, little easier to handle. But we all kind of found our ways around it. But for that, we always have to install Gutenberg to have the blocks.
Yeah.
And not everyone wants to use Gutenberg in production.
Yep.
Yeah, still. All right. Okay. So we are coming to the end of our Gutenberg Changelog podcast. As always, the show notes will be published at gutenbergtimes.com/podcast. And if you have questions, suggestions, or news that you want us to include, send them to changelog@gutenbergtimes.com. That's changelog@gutenbergtimes.com. Thank you so much, Sarah, for being here. And thank you to all the listeners for listening. And if you want to review our podcast on several of those directories, like on Apple or on Spotify, please do, as it helps other people to discover it. So thank you for listening, and goodbye. And see you at the next one.
Bye.